David Pakur, a talented 22-year-old Canadian computer science student and Xbox enthusiast, becomes embroiled in a sprawling hacking saga known as the Xbox Underground. Initially fascinated by Xbox consoles and games like Halo and Call of Duty, David and his online friends exploit vulnerabilities in gaming companies' networks to steal unreleased games, source codes, and sensitive data. This is their story.
Imagine being 22, a whiz kid in computer science, and your biggest passion is the Xbox. Now, imagine taking that passion a little too far. So far, in fact, that you end up at the center of one of the biggest hacking sagas in gaming history. A story that goes way beyond stealing a few unreleased games and ventures into the territory of military secrets. This is the incredible and cautionary tale of David Pakur and the Xbox Underground. Our story begins in Canada, where David Pakur, a bright and ambitious student, was doing what millions of others were, obsessing over games like Halo and Call of Duty. But for David, just playing wasn't enough. He was fascinated by the inner workings of the Xbox, the code that made it all tick. He wasn't alone. Online, he connected with a small group of like-minded enthusiasts from around the world. They were all young, incredibly smart, and shared a deep curiosity about the architecture of their favorite console. What started as an innocent exploration of gaming technology soon took a sharp turn. Their initial curiosity morphed into a challenge. Could they get their hands on games before they were released? The group began probing the networks of major gaming companies. They quickly discovered that the security protecting these multi-million-dollar projects wasn't as robust as you might think. Using their combined skills, they exploited vulnerabilities, slipping past digital defenses to access treasure troves of data. Their first big scores were huge: pre-release versions of blockbuster games, and more importantly, the source code behind them. For them, this was the ultimate prize. It was like finding the blueprints to the Death Star. This initial success was intoxicating. The group, which came to be known as the Xbox Underground, felt invincible. What started with just a few friends quickly snowballed. Their reputation grew in the shadowy corners of the internet, attracting more talent. Soon, the crew expanded to nearly a dozen members, a global collective of young hackers who saw corporate firewalls as puzzles to be solved. Their ambitions grew with their numbers. They weren't just satisfied with stealing games anymore. They wanted more. The group's activities became more audacious. They began to monetize their exploits, selling cheat codes and early access to games to other players. But their real focus shifted towards bigger targets. They set their sights on the giants of the tech world, companies that were household names. Using sophisticated techniques, they breached the networks of some of the most powerful corporations on the planet. They weren't just downloading files, they were living inside these systems, watching projects develop in real time. They had access to sensitive internal documents, business strategies, and employee information. It was a staggering level of intrusion. And then, they stumbled upon something that changed the game completely. While navigating the labyrinthine networks of one of their targets, they found a connection, a digital doorway that led somewhere unexpected, somewhere far more sensitive than a game developer's server. It was a project related to the United States military. They had unknowingly hacked their way into a network that housed development software for Apache helicopter pilot training simulations. Suddenly, this wasn't about video games anymore. They had crossed a line, moving from digital mischief into the realm of national security. The thrill was immense, but so was the risk. They were in possession of technology used to train soldiers, a fact that would later weigh heavily on their case. But even this didn't slow them down. In fact, it seemed to fuel their confidence. Their most daring plan was yet to come, and it was aimed squarely at the heart of their original obsession: Microsoft. The Xbox Underground decided they wanted the next big thing before anyone else, the successor to the Xbox 360, codenamed Durango, what we now know as the Xbox One. They couldn't just download this. They needed the physical hardware. Through a combination of social engineering and exploiting an insider connection, they managed to get their hands on development kits and prototypes of the new console. They had the future of Xbox sitting in their homes long before it was even announced to the public. Their brazenness reached its peak when they physically infiltrated Microsoft's campus in Redmond, Washington. Using stolen employee credentials, members of the group walked right into one of the most secure buildings in the tech industry. They weren't just remote ghosts in the machine anymore. They were physically present, walking the halls, looking for more hardware and data to steal. It was a level of audacity that was almost unbelievable. For a moment, it seemed like there was no door they couldn't open, no secret they couldn't uncover. But this kind of activity can't go unnoticed forever. The sheer scale of the data being exfiltrated, we're talking terabytes of sensitive information, had tripped alarms. A massive international investigation was quietly underway, involving federal agents and cybercrime units from multiple countries. The FBI, working with Microsoft's own security team, began to painstakingly piece together the digital breadcrumbs left behind by the Xbox underground. They traced IP addresses, analyzed server logs, and followed the money trail from the sale of stolen goods. The net was closing in. One by one, the members of the Xbox underground were identified. The digital world they had dominated was about to collide with the real one in a very harsh way. For David Pakur, the moment of reckoning came when authorities arrived at his door in Canada. The game was over. The charges were serious, encompassing everything from copyright infringement to conspiracy to commit computer fraud. The stolen data was valued at over $100 million, but the damage went far beyond a monetary figure. They had compromised intellectual property, corporate security, and even touched upon military projects. In the end, David Packer pleaded guilty. He faced the consequences of his actions, receiving a prison sentence for his role as a key figure in the Xbox underground. Other members of the group faced similar fates. The story serves as a powerful reminder of the thin line between curiosity and criminality in the digital age. These were undeniably brilliant young minds, capable of incredible feats of technical skill. But their talents, misdirected, led them down a path of crime with life-altering consequences. It's a classic story of Icarus, of flying too close to the sun on wings made of stolen code, and the inevitable fall that follows. The Xbox Underground saga remains one of the most extensive and audacious hacks in history, a testament to how a passion for gaming can, in the wrong hands, spiral into a federal case. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of technology and beyond. See you in the next one.